show that I really never planned on doing, but unfortunately here we are. It's sad day in the city of Detroit for the passing of David Black.
Well, hey, Motor City, it's Doc Doug Podell, and sadly, we lost another great Detroit musician, an innovator, somebody who we needed in the 80s following a great run of Detroit music in the 60s and 70s. There was a lull in the 80s until Seduce came around with the great David Black on guitar. And sadly, he passed away way too young. We've lost a lot of musicians and a lot of great people over the past year and years here in Detroit, but none as innovative as David Black. He set the standard for Detroit music in the 80s. He made things happen that weren't happening for a long time in Detroit. Just ask the crowds at the Ritz, Harpo's, New York, New York, and many more. David Black, rest in peace, my friend. You made a difference in Detroit music, and we honor you tonight.
Passing of Dave Black. Well, I can remember it was back, I was still in high school, 1982. And my good friend John said, hey, you got to see this band, this heavy metal band. I was starting to get into some heavier music back in that time, away from the punk scene. But he said, hey, let's go to Blondie's and see this incredible band. It's a three-piece, the Detroit's power trio, Seduce. And that was the first time, and that show just blew my mind. You know, besides them playing the Redcoat Lounge, the Harpo's, the Ritz, and so many other great places, especially the reunion shows at the Emerald Theater were just mind-blowing. But I had met Dave back in the day when I had worked at New York, New York, as a club DJ at the time. Very personable, very nice, and I really got to know him later on when I hosted, thanks to Doug Podell, Midnight Metal on 101 WRIF in Detroit for many years. Dave, I subsequently gave the hotline number to, and somehow I'd like, I riff, and it'd be Dave going, hey, can you play Headbanger for me? It's like, yeah, sure, no problem. The hard part was watching him just absolutely lose it. We did a Harley Fest, and they were one of the headlining bands. And at the end of the show, the police were clearing out everybody from Harley Fest. That was at Freedom Hill. And what had happened was, since the police was clearing everybody out, gotta go, show's over, blah, 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 and just created chaos backstage. And some phlegmbag had the audacity to steal Dave's beautiful, I believe is a Strat guitar, the blue one that he used on many of the earlier albums. I fought for a long time trying to recover that guitar, go into pawn shops and all that. Later on, just hearing from Dave, getting a call from him every now and then, just checking on how I'm doing. I did not know that he had this cancer to him. So good memories, and remembering a very gentle, sweet guy off stage, but one of the damn best guitar players and a band that will stand the test of time. That's how I'll remember Dave Black.
So we're here today, me and my good friend Steve Costa. Hello, Steve. How are you, sir?
Great to be here again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you always. I wish it was under better circumstances.
Yeah, I know. That was a real damper right at the end of, actually, I heard about it from Roosevelt.
At our party.
At the end of your party there, later that same day.
Yeah, it was tragic news. I was in awe. I couldn't believe it because nobody heard anything about David being ill. Did you know?
No, I had not really heard anything about David in years, actually.
He was a quiet guy. I knew he was very seclusive, but I sure didn't see this one coming. I don't know about anybody else, but man, it hit hard in the Detroit community, you know?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of folks had a lot of great memories of Seduce.
Oh man, they were like the staple in the city of Detroit and abroad, but more in the city of Detroit. I can remember like 3 or 4 of my visits to various bars, going out of my way just to see them, and like their style was just so new. And even in the 80s, their style with the hair, everybody had long hair and the hairspray. But
Later in the 80s, see, that's the whole deal. The timing thing kind of worked against Seduce in the earlier 80s, because, you know, they started really getting known around here around 85. But
yeah,
the whole haircut, new wave MTV type English bands were kind of like in vogue in the early 80s. When you say the 80s, there's actually a couple of different phases where, you know, that was going on in the early 80s. And then the hair metal bands kind of came in the second part of the 80s. And, you know, there was dozens of them that were real good. But, you know, sometimes if you come out stylistically against the grain, because they were probably, what I saw was already 85,
Yeah.
you know, a year or two earlier, you know, record companies tend to follow each other's leads a lot, and there's a herd mentality. And, you know, we're going to put up money for this act to get them recorded and everything. And so, well, you know, all this other stuff is going on. So, you know, they'll either pass on a band like that or take a real heavy guitar-driven band and try and change their sound a little bit. Yeah, that's
kind of mold them into what they want.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not the best thing, you know.
Yeah, not for Seduce, for sure.
Well, no, and it's happened to some other bands. Dave Edwards and The Look, when they got signed to Fantasy Record, that was their 3rd album. And, you know, they were signed based on their live performances. But when they got in the studio, they had a drum machine and they added some synthesizers and stuff.
To The Look?
Yeah, to try and make them more like, you know, contemporary, the record guys. And you know,
oh my gosh.
If you're a new band starting off, you don't have a lot of leverage on that kind of stuff. You're not going to win those arguments because they're putting up the dough.
Yeah, of course.
So
of course,
it kind of works against. And another Detroit band that kind of got burned by that too was the Rockets. They were coming out in the late 70s when they started really releasing albums, and you know, regionally kind of successful. In fact, in 1982, they got a chance to open for The Who, one gig down in Louisville.
Wow.
Daltrey song, and said these guys are great, and signed them up for 6 more openings for The Who.
No kidding.
And I went and saw them in Chicago, and that was a tough gig because they're not in Detroit now.
Right.
And after every song, the audience is going, Who, and
no.
they kind of sounded like boos. But they were rocking. But, you know, the Rockets kind of really got caught up in that because they were just at that 3rd album starting to really bust out more nationally. And the trend just worked against them right now. The bass player said it was kind of like, you know, we're the last of the buffalo or something like that.
Do you think that hindered Seduce from action, like, because they were kind of like rebels, you know?
A little bit. They were kind of like, you know, in the wrong place at the wrong time, a little bit that way. But, you know, a few years later, that's when you almost think that, well, if they had gone out to LA and played for about a month, you know, for nothing or something, pay to play or whatever, you know, you might get signed by somebody, you know, who's really into
somebody that can make them the next big thing.
It's always tough, you know, especially like back in those days, the whole thing, you know, now bands can put out songs and records and on the internet and stuff like that, but, you know, it was a real big leap to get signed back in those days. But once you know you got signed, you were working for the record company, but they also had that ability to plug you into that star power publicity machine and really, you know, get in there and push the radio stations and just kind of, you know, promote their investment.
Right, I get
You
it.
look at it, I didn't get that at all when I was that age, you know, when I was younger, because, you know, shoot, I just wanted to hear the great rock and roll, and these suit and ties were getting in, those suit and ties were getting in the way. But I can see it if you're putting up the dough, you know.
Yeah, and like, I don't think there's another band that had the style of Seduce. I mean, just their stage presence. There's a lot of great bands in Detroit that had great stage presence, but David, my God, that guy, he was thin as a rail, but
Yeah, I mean, he had the look, man.
yeah, he had the look, and he was such a quiet guy off stage, but he was like night and day on stage. He was
Yeah.
an absolute freaking animal on stage.
Kind of similar to Joe Perry. He's
Yeah.
like that. You know, Joe's very
Nimble.
withdrawn and you know, but gets out there and he transforms into this American badass.
Isn't it crazy?
And, you know, he just lets it all hang out. And you know, you almost think that you wish some guy like a Gene Simmons would have stumbled upon him.
Oh my God, that would
You know,
be
he
huge.
had a little bit to do with getting Van Halen
Yeah.
going in the early days. That was
Sure.
a fun, true story. It was in January of '78. They were playing at the Olympia with the Rockets, in fact, opening the show, which was a big deal for the Rockets.
Of course.
And they came by WADX on the Saturday afternoon when I was working. I'd been on the air about maybe 6 months then.
Uh-huh.
And it was a really cool promotion. You know, they kind of came in and pretended like they tied me up and put me in the closet.
Oh, jeez.
But I was actually running the control board for
I got you.
That's Steve, you know, this is Paul Stanley. We got Steve tied up in the closet. We're going to play some rock and roll for the people. This is Paul Stanley. This is Gene Simmons. And here we go, blah, 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 blah. And bam, they went into Deep Purple Burn.
Oh my God.
During that afternoon, Gene whips out from his big old leather satchel that a lot of people used to carry, and he had a 45 with "You Really Got Me" from this new band called Van Halen.
No
And,
way.
hey, if you could, I'd like to play these guys today, and
Oh, my
I'm trying to help
goodness.
them out. So he handed it to me, and it was "You Really Got Me," and it wasn't super long, so my program director said, okay.
Uh-huh.
So we teed that puppy up, and this is the finger, probably this finger right here, was the finger that launched the first Van Halen spin in Detroit.
Oh my
You know,
goodness.
But
that's
sometimes
huge.
it's just dumb luck and or
Yeah.
good fortune, whatever you want to call it, being in
Right.
favor of the gods or shining
Right
you.
on, right
And,
on.
you know, and that could have really worked in Seduce's case. I
Oh
think.
man, my heart feels like they should have been the next biggest band out of Detroit to actually play big arenas. And I know they warmed up for quite a few higher end bands and stuff, but they, like I said, I'll go back to it and say that Mark and Dave, they just were like, they clicked so good. And Mark didn't actually want to even be the singer. They had a couple different singers. They were a four-piece for some time, on and off, I think 2 or 3 different occasions, which we all know the one guy that passed away, and I forget his name, man. He real stud muffin guy. But Mark was the singer that made Seduce, in my opinion. And we talk now, and he's doing a project down in Nashville, and I'm not going to say what it is, it's up to him. But he's not singing. And I asked, does it bother you? He said, heck no, Rodney. I've never wanted to be a singer in the first place. My passion is playing bass guitar. And what a job he does. And even Chuck. Chuck is just a phenomenal drummer. He's a quiet guy in back, but he pounds on those drums like nobody's business, man. And when you go to see a Seduce show, you paid a lot of money, but you got your money's worth, you know.
Well, definitely.
You know, and it was just some of the crowd, even when we got older and we go see them like 20 years after at one of the venues like the Token Lounge, the fans are still so loyal to the band Seduce. I got a buddy of mine, Randy Warner, that was living in Texas, and he went into a pawn shop and he found the record, Too Much Isn't Enough, on the shelf there, and he got it. He bought it and brought it back home. But they were getting out there, man. They did a lot of road tours and stuff. Nothing huge, but they were getting where I just don't know what happened. Why.
Yeah, on the verge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's kind of tough because you don't make a ton of money yet doing that.
Right.
But you're right on the bubble of
Yeah.
that stuff, and
Yeah.
that's the frustrating part because there's a
Yeah.
lot of talented folks that end up in that. And Seduce was a total unit too,
Yeah.
which made a difference. A lot of times you'd have like a pretty good band where 3 guys were great, and then who's that weird guy in the hat, you know,
Yeah.
the keyboards or something.
And especially for a 3-piece band. But
Yeah.
we're going to take a break. We're going to listen to one of their songs on MTV. It was called Crash Land. We're going to take a break, come back and talk about this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stand by, and we'll be back in a minute.
The biggest band in Detroit.
Us.
welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that video. That was many, many moons ago, but it's still played on local stuff. I see it on YouTube all the time. Let's talk a little bit about David's technical career as a guitarist and a technician of his craft. What do you got to say about that?
Well, he was one of the best at that style, and you know, it's an uncompromising style that you know, that I never even came close to approaching.
Not many did.
With me, it was like, check that fourth chord at the door. It won't be needed here. It'll be needed in the Steve Costan musical universe. It'll come in about as handy as the fourth chord's like bringing a set of chopsticks to a Texas barbecue. You know, it just ain't gonna happen.
Right.
But you know, there was that style that was kind of a little bit out of vogue for just a little bit, but it started turning with Motley Crue. Their album came out around 84, 85, and you know, that scene in LA, it never kind of went away. And the audience, you know, loyalty may have had a lot to do with it, but you know, he came out there and just, you know, played with that wall of Marshalls, and I think he got an endorsement from another amplifier company at some point, which is heavy, you know. I mean, I mean, you're right there. If you're getting endorsements and they're supplying amps and doing things, you're getting pretty close to where you want to be. I remember an old thing that I just heard. I didn't know when I was growing up, but there was a band called Paul Revere and the Raiders, and they did some song about a GTO. Or I think it was a GTO or a Chevelle 396. It was one of those car songs, and as a result, the car maker loved it. They gave him a van to haul the gear around, and he each got one of the cars for like a year or something.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I mean, you know, it's pretty heavy when somebody gets behind you like that.
Sure, they did a big thing at Harpo's with the company that was endorsing them. They let them, the whole back line was nothing but stacks from the endorsement company, and it was huge. The place was like a concert hall.
Yeah, well, exactly. Harpo's was indeed a concert hall, and Ron Baltrus, a lot of responsibility for that, because he, when he took over that place, it had been around for as a movie theater, and it was kind of a disco for a while. But when he was back there with the live amps, he did some stuff to the stage. He raised the stage a few feet so you could see it like better, and he also made the stage about 6 feet deeper going out the front, so when you stand on that stage, it was a really, I played on it a few times with radio station bands, and you know, that wooden stage, you can kind of feel the sound coming up through your feet as you're playing.
Kidding, wow.
It's kind of cool, and there's a lot of depth, a lot of room to move around. You know, sometimes if the headliner has got a bunch of gear, you might have as much room as this table.
That's it.
To stand there, and everything else, you're like, you know, don't touch anything, everything's all around you. That kind of is not as much fun.
No,
at all.
I can imagine.
But you know, he did that, and of course he ran the token for a little while too. Back, and he moved that stage from the north wall to the west wall. And of course, John Anton has done a fantastic job.
Goodness. Everybody loves it.
It's like the pro concert club.
Isn't it? It's just a wonderful place to play. And let's get back to Ron Baltrus. His health is really declining. I've talked to his daughter on numerous occasions. He's not doing all that well, and we do definitely wish him all the best.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a good man.
He was a key player in that whole scene. I mean, I used to, you know, I never left Detroit, so I co-hosted all those shows at
I remember tons of them.
Seduce, a lot of the great local bands played there. A lot of the U2 actually played there once on the way up. And he caught a lot of bands that were either signed, like the new Huey Lewis and the News when they were brand new, and they played there. And then some of the bands that could no longer sell out Kobo, you know, they could go to Humble Pie, the Joe Perry Project, just Robin Trower, many concerts with him there. So it was a total pro place to play. And Seduce was up to the occasion. They rose.
Well, I tell you, there was never a dull moment at Harpo's. The place was jam-packed. You couldn't even move in that place. In fact, you and I walked in together at a Seduce show, and I got in a little trouble at the door, and because I was there with you, they allowed me to go upstairs and talk to Ron and continue on with my my venture at that particular show. And I think it's the show that David lost a guitar. Somebody actually stole one of his guitars. And to this day, it's still being, even we had Roosevelt in here and he mentioned about it. And I talked to Mark Andrews about it and got the story wrong on the color of the guitar, but he never recovered a guitar. And it's such a shame that somebody would do that to such a guy that all he does is give and give to the city of Detroit with his writing skills, his music, his unmatched guitar technical,
Absolutely, yeah.
you know.
And then some, jerk comes along and,
I can't even fathom that, man. And but time goes on, and it's a shame that people forget. That's why we're doing this show.
well, the movie helped though a lot.
Yeah.
The end of Western Civilization.
Oh my God, yeah.
Too,
Yeah.
And, there was a lot of other great bands that were in that thing.
Yeah, sir.
Just this whole heavy metal thing, which was kind of really, in LA, it was probably a little ahead of Detroit at that particular time. It's a big city with a lot of record companies in Hollywood, so I mean, even Motown moved out there.
Yeah.
You want to be kind of where the action is. I guess if
Sure.
you're selling cars,
Yeah.
you probably want, some kind of Detroit presence.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about that whole metal scene when it came back is it was always a bait fest.
Oh my God.
I mean, and maybe, Van Halen probably started it too, but God bless those girls. Make the world a better place.
Oh my God! I gotta jump in on one quick story because me and my then girlfriend Van Halen was playing down at Cobo Hall, and we rode down with a bunch of people. We didn't have tickets, and we went to the back door of Cobo Hall.
Yeah, by the river there.
Yeah, and they let my girlfriend Carrie in and wouldn't let me in. She went in that bar, in that facility, and went, I don't know what she did or she went in, but she was in there for like 2 hours.
Days.
I was standing out the whole concert. She finally comes out, her hair's all messed up, and she was with the band, and David Lee Roth was a freaking animal at that time.
Yeah, he really was.
He was like just a womanizing guy, and we never talked. We ended up having to hitchhike home because we didn't have no money. We were in high school, man, and she did me so dirty on that. But yeah, I mean,
It's a great story 30 years later.
yeah, I can laugh at it now, but it crushed me then, man. But the women that used to follow Seduce, the get-ups that they wore.
Yeah, God bless them.
Oh my God!
Talk about dressing up the room.
Holy mackerel, there was never a dull moment watching that band, man, and the quality of their music. All originals except for one song that I'm aware of, and it was Just What the Doctor Ordered by Ted Nugent. Mark played that song just incredibly, but everything else was all originals, and people would flock to wherever they played to see David Black, Mark, and Chuck play their craft. They were just incredible.
I think my first one was at Papillon.
Okay.
And I got to credit my brother in Sound Town, Todd Fowler.
Oh, yeah.
Actually was, speaking really highly of these guys at the time. It was kind of weird because you work with different guys. Todd had his radar on that, and then my other friend in the business. Well, there was plenty of there, but one of my coworkers, Greg St. James, was kind of completely in another musical direction.
Okay.
And you work with all these cool people, and then you just kind of. You're lucky to be around those guys, and you listen to them. And Todd was from the West Side there, and so down to Papillons, and hey, wow.
I'll tell you, Mark is like nothing like he is on stage. When he comes up on stage, hey motherfuckers, how you doing? And he's just right in your face, 150 miles an hour. But when you hang out with them, which I had the pleasure of doing quite a bit. A long time ago, he's he moved out to Nashville and he's doing great things out in Nashville.
Yeah, it's a music city there.
Yeah, and he's hooking up with some really high. He's hooking up with some really high-end musicians that moved to there. But just to talk with Mark, I used to hang out with him when he was at the strip club that he spun records at, Subi's. And he's so quiet and just so down to earth and just a lovable guy. But he is very selective on the people he lets in his world. And I'm very thankful that he's allowed me to be his friend. And he's just a great guy, man.
I chatted David up a few times, at gigs and stuff, but the most memorable one was I ended up at the house that
on Burt Road.
Over there because I went to Redford High, so that was kind of like over on that side of the my neighborhood a little bit south of there.
Uh-huh.
But, we just went over there after whatever festivities were over and people weren't ready to kind of call it a night.
Right.
So it was just like the three of us, we were sitting around listening to records, and I remember they were turning me on to this new record, Phantom Rocker and Slick.
Oh,
it
right.
was Earl Slick and the two guys from the Stray Cats.
Oh, wow.
Talking about that and just a real nice, quiet but enthusiastic conversation, which
You'll take that.
the sun was starting to come up when I left.
Many a
time to
time.
skedaddle.
Yeah, it was like a whole different, I guess you'd say, a lifestyle that I was turned on to when I met those guys, because I was hanging out at the studio lounge and
Well, it was a lifestyle too, because
Yeah.
I didn't have to get into work till 5:30.
Yeah, so you
I
could hang out all night.
Serious damage all day.
Oh,
but
my
I could
God.
Still answer the bell. By 5 o'clock, I could get in the car and get back to work. It worked out okay.
Well, I tell you what, we're sure gonna miss David. It's like
Yeah.
a loss felt by everybody in the city of Detroit. And I don't think there'll ever be another guitarist quite like David Black. So, David, I know you're up there listening, man. God bless you, and thank you for all the years of your music and your contribution to the city of Detroit. We all love you, and we're going to miss you. Steve, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been an absolute honor and a privilege to have you.
It's always fun coming in here. We've done a couple of things
Yeah.
now, and I'm definitely into the whole catch the pulse with Rodney thing. So
Thank you.
you're doing a great thing by getting a lot of these
Thank you.
things recorded and documented. Actually,
appreciate
'cause
you.
people talk about it, but they don't follow through. You're following through.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me, and you're always welcome here. I'd love to have you as a co-host. Whenever you're available, I'll be calling on you. And I know you're such a nice guy. You never say no to nobody.
But the guy who never knows when to leave. My first job at ABX, the guy hired me, Calvert, and he said, I just need you this Labor Day weekend. I'm a little short this weekend. I don't have anything regular to give to you, but if you help me out here, I'll put you on the top of the list of the
Right
next
on.
guy in. And so I said, okay. And like
Turned into a life career.
the guy who doesn't really know when to leave, I got a call on Tuesday, and he goes, "Man, that was Dan Beeson. You want to work this Saturday night, the overnight shift?
Oh,
blah, blah, blah." And then all of a sudden, I had the Saturday night overnight shift.
Man,
So I just it was supposed to be just a one weekend thing, and
turned into a lot more.
yeah, it just
Well, you're a book
it lasted for a long time.
Bro, you're an encyclopedia.
It's a fun way to get paid, though.
It is.
I mean, sitting around talking about music is what we did after work. When I was working, I worked at a paint factory down in Hamtramck back in like '73, and that's where I got turned on to a lot of the East Side rock. And
Sure.
again, I used to go to the East Town quite a bit around '71. 72.
Man.
But then some of my guys getting off work, and they had a shower and locker room because it was a paint factory. You got you get into the showers there after work.
Sure.
So we get off out of there about 11 o'clock at night, and these guys, hey, there's this small club on the east side we always go to on Tuesdays, but it's really cool. It's called the Red Carpet.
All right.
So I got turned out of the Red Carpet back then. I wasn't
Oh,
even 21.
Bro, I haven't heard that name for forever.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
That was a rock and roll pub. Baby.
Yeah, man. You, like I said, you're a walking encyclopedia of the city of Detroit, and we will definitely have you back, Steve. Okay?
Appreciate it. It's a deal.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
I appreciate you.
All right.
And I want to thank the audience for checking in with us, and I hope you enjoyed the show, even though it was a sad show. We tried to make light of it, and I hope you are happy with what we did for you today. And I want to thank Harpo's, and I want to thank Pod Pulse Media for being our sponsors, and stay tuned. There's a lot more coming, you guys. So that, I'm going to say goodbye and take care of yourself.